there's such a black curtain up between the industry and the rest of the world. And I just want to be able to break that down and give our users more impact into the industry and help drive the next star. But then also just give a lot of these artists time and attention and that human touch to everything. And it's amazing how much they appreciate that.
Today's guest is Dave Yeager, a powerhouse in music and tech with over 25 years of experience shaping how we experience sound. From building Universal Music Group's digital supply chain to playing a key role in the $3.2 billion Beats acquisition by Apple, Dave has been at the forefront of digital transformation. He's now the founder and CEO of Showcase, a human-curated music discovery platform that's changing the way fans connect with emerging artists. We're talking about innovation, entrepreneurship, and the real journey behind building what's next. So thanks for joining us today, Dave.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, for those who don't know you, why don't you tell us a little bit about you now and how you got here?
Yeah, so I'm originally from Wilkes-Barre, 44 actually. Graduated Wyoming Valley West, 95. My 30th reunion coming up this year, actually. And
is that sad or is that happy for you?
It's mixed because I was class president and I'm the one in charge of planning my reunions.
No, okay.
I literally just booked the venue before I came here this morning, so it's underway.
Gotcha.
It's a little bit of both.
Yeah.
But no, I'm excited for it. We lost our 25th due to COVID, so everybody's excited for this one. But yeah, from this area, I always say that I've always been blessed that I knew what I wanted, and that was music. And so I pursued my music career. And back in the day, after I graduated high school and went to IUP for college, I knew there was pretty much 3 places to go, which was Nashville, LA, or New York. And first I decided, first of all, to back up, when I was going to college, I started my own DJ company that I did all the way through college. And a couple years after college in Ocean City, Maryland, full time. And I just hit a ceiling and wanted more.
Wait, Dave, did you have a DJ name?
I did. I had 2, and I'm embarrassed to say
you got to share that, man.
All right. Man, you're really digging already.
I'm sorry. That's my job, man.
So
I've been in that chair before.
Yeah. When I started DJing, one of the hottest dance songs was Tootsie Roll. And so my fraternity brothers started calling me Tootsie Roll. And that stuck at college. Everybody, to this day, that knows me from college calls me Tootsie.
Really?
Yeah, but I never went as that. I was still self-conscious about that name. Because I was also I was a big goofy guy.
Why?
I should have just embraced it, to be honest. But then I ended up getting sponsored by Jägermeister. So I went, my last name's Yeager.
I was going to make that joke.
Yeah.
You stole my joke.
So I ended up sponsoring when I was in Ocean City. So I ended up going as DJ Yeager with a J, with a Meister. And then, they would actually come to a lot of the things I DJ'd, and they'd bring the bus and the girls and the free drinks. Like, I can't even smell Jägermeister to this day. It makes me vomit. I drank so much of it back in the day.
DJ Yeager.
Yeah.
DJ Yeager, the Meister.
It was a fun time.
Yeah.
I know. My husband always tells my girls, "Oh, that was DJ Tootsie Roll," so they tease me as well. So I'm never going to let it down.
Yeah, you're going to have to stick with the Jägermeister.
It's fun. Yeah, exactly.
So I interrupted you though. So you were DJing?
DJ'd, and then I felt like I hit a ceiling. I burnt myself out a bit, and I wanted more. So I went back and got a second degree at a school called Full Sail University in Orlando, Florida, specialized in recording engineering. And it was a 1-year degree. I needed a lifestyle change. Before then, I was working 2 full-time jobs, DJing till 4 a.m, smoking 2 packs a day. I was 330 pounds.
Really?
I just needed to get away. And so I just, on a whim, I applied to the school. I got accepted. And I just drove down there and just changed my life. It was 1-year school, full-time school. And I got my degree. I lost 100 pounds that year.
Wow.
Just got myself really focused on, I knew the music industry was really hard to break into. And I wanted to give it everything I had. So I graduated from there.
Did you lose the 100 pounds because you didn't have any money to get food?
Part of it,
was it that you were
I was definitely very poor.
You were just busy and focused.
Just busy and focused. And I'm one of those people, I don't have addictive personality, but I did smoke for years. It was a college thing. I think everybody did. And I just said, I'm going to quit. And I just quit cold turkey one day and substituted it for the gym. Wow. Got myself in shape and really just focused. And then after that, I had my eye on Nashville was my next step. And so there's a studio there that I wanted to work at. I applied to no response whatsoever. So one night I just decided to drive overnight 13 hours to Nashville and show up on their doorstep the next day. And I did that. And it just so happened that I met the manager of the office and I introduced myself, and Just so happened somebody had quit that week.
What?
So he said, can you stay over and meet the owner of the studio the next day? So I slept in my car that night and went in the next morning. I did an interview on the spot and they gave me the job. So I drove back to Florida, picked up my stuff, drove back to Tennessee.
Goosebumps.
And that's how, and so I ended up working at the studio for about a year or so and recorded a lot of amazing artists, learned how to cut my chops as an engineer. And it was a great experience. And but to be honest, I knew LA was my end goal. That's where music was really happening. I'm very claustrophobic, so New York wasn't a scene for me. LA was always my end goal. So I picked up my things, put it in my van, and drove cross country in my minivan by myself with a guitar and all my belongings and no money, a couple $100 to my name. And the last day going from Las Vegas to Los Angeles is the middle of July. My radiator blew. And it was 100 right in front of the, I'm not making this up. There's like right in front, there's like the world's largest thermometer. I think I forget. It's outside Barstow, California. I broke down like right there. So I look up and it's 127 degrees. My radiator just blew all over the road. And so I got stuck there for 5 days.
Did anybody take a picture of that?
It's not that, but I have a picture of my van.
Okay.
Because I slept in my van the whole way.
Wow.
So I slept in the back of the van every night at
like
different
Matt Foley,
campgrounds.
right?
Yeah,
Living
exactly.
out of your van down by the river.
Down by the river, that's right. And they took me for my garage. Like apparently this guy's like a multimillionaire because everybody's cars break down in the summertime and he's the only place to fix them. So he took me for pretty much all my money.
Yeah,
I got to LA. And then my car broke down again when I got to LA. And then I slept in my van for 6 weeks because I had no money and I had to get my start. And I just started doing side work and I started doing extra work, which is a big thing in Los Angeles. So extra work is like the background people in movies and TV shows. It's a big thing. A lot of people that retire do extra work. Every single day you'd call up a number and they would say, we're looking for a white male in their 20s and blah, blah, blah. And I would apply. And so I got to be on like Arrested Development, Judging Amy, Las Vegas, like a bunch of different shows I was on sets for. And that's how I slowly got my start. And I finally got a chance to afford a place to live. And I rented a room from somebody in North Hollywood. And then from there, I got a job at Entertainment Tonight. That was my first actual job as a production coordinator on the Paramount lot. And I worked in the tape vault, just basically prepping all the footage for all the different segments they would do. And I worked my way up to an associate producer and director. So I'd go out with film crews and shoot film premieres. I sat in the Michael Jackson trial and listened to the Michael Jackson trial up in Santa Maria. And I was a conduit back to Entertainment Tonight. And which was,
I was like,
really,
in
really
my mind,
cool.
I'm going, da-na-na-na-na-na.
Yeah.
I grew up on that Entertainment.
Yeah, exactly.
Like the 4 channels that we had to choose from.
It was a really surreal, because I didn't come from, not starstruck by people. So my interview was like, I had to name all these different celebrities and I failed that completely. But apparently my boss liked me anyway. So she offered me the job. Yeah. And so that was like my start in entertainment. And then from there, I just been at music companies my whole career, at Universal Music Group for almost a decade. And then I went over to Beats by Dr. Dre to help build that company and build the Beats music streaming service that came to be. And was an amazing experience.
That was successful.
Yeah, I mean, it was quite a ride. I worked my butt off. We had an amazing team behind us. It was probably the highlight of my career because we were able to build something from the ground up with a vision. And I traveled extensively, and I worked nonstop, and I built my team, and it was just crazy to see that ride all the way through its acquisition to Apple back in 2014. Then I was at Apple for 5 years, building and launching and scaling Apple Music. And then most recently I was at Zoom, where I oversaw content operations and content licensing for Zoom, really protecting the platform from all of the content that's being played on there. And then I built them a Zoom music app that's currently on their marketplace. So overall, I've just been in music my whole career. And now I'm on my own with my own company, and very early days, but we're scaling, and fingers crossed, knock on wood, that we take off. So that's a long-winded answer to telling you about me.
There's so much in there, right?
There's so much.
And I just relocated back here a couple years ago. My husband and I've got a husband, and we've got 2 now 6-year-old twin girls. And so we came back in 2020 for personal reasons, but we ended up staying. My daughter's connected with my older sisters here, and they have cousins here. And we always thought that this would be an amazing place to raise our kids. And so we bought a farm. Complete dichotomy of living in the middle of Los Angeles.
You like extremes.
So I do. I'm a glutton for punishment sometimes.
How old are the girls? The
6.
twins?
6.
Okay,
And
6.
they are my everything. I have got my toenails painted right now. The bracelets. They're my world. I love them so much.
That's great. Man.
Yeah.
So my first question is two questions. Number one, when you were trying to get in LA, did you drop the Tootsie Roll or Jägermeister?
Fortunately, nobody had heard of DJ Tootsie Roll
Oh,
out there.
bummer.
That's probably why you went all the way
I
across.
know. I should
was
have embraced it.
pre-TikTok.
Exactly. Very much.
I guess the real question, though, is when you're in maybe your third week sleeping in the van.
Yeah.
Like that sounds like a cliche. People are like, oh, I lived out of my car. You legit were sleeping, probably trying to find a place to shower.
So
Yeah. What's going through your head in that?
it's interesting. I think being from this area, I have that blue collar mindset. That's my dad was a teacher, but then worked 2 jobs just to make us ends meet for the family. And I knew my family didn't have any money to help me support my journey. And they were already worried about me doing this, but I knew in my heart that I had to take my shot. So I wanted it to be a part of my story. Like even when I speak now, I show the picture of my van of where I slept. I say I took this picture with the hopes of sharing this with my future self in 20 years to connect that through line. And I didn't want to ask for help from anybody. Maybe it was a little egotistical, but like it was my choice to go out there and I wanted it to be part of my story. And I had, like you alluded to, but I slept inside of a movie theater. And I would literally sneak into the movie theater, and most theaters have like if you buy a large popcorn, you get free refills so I would go into a theater after they got out and find an empty bin and go get a free fill. And I lived on like popcorn and soda, and then there was a Holiday Inn.
Look at Maria's face.
I remember these spots exactly where I was, and then there was a Holiday Inn. And I would sneak in there almost every morning for their breakfast. And man, Holiday Inn used to have the best little cinnamon buns, if you remember those, the cinnamon rolls. But I would go in there because I really had no money. Yeah. And so I would sneak in and eat their continental breakfast, and then I would jump in their pool, and that's how I would like shower. And then every maybe week or so, I would get a cheap motel room just to get a good night's sleep and get really freshened up. And it was about 6 weeks of that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did you have friends? Were you making friends?
I didn't know anybody.
Yeah.
I knew not a soul in Los Angeles. There's actually one person from college, a friend of mine that I knew, but I really didn't know anybody. And it goes part to like where I am now. Like I mentor a lot of young people coming up through the music industry because I want to be able to hold people's hand because it is a very hard industry to break into. And my way of giving back because I didn't have somebody like a mentor like that when I was getting my first start.
When you had this vision of who you wanted to become and breaking into the music industry, did you have an idol or a mentor or someone that you looked up to that kind of pulled you toward that, or did you make it all up on your own?
Yeah, I think it was more. To be honest with you, when I look back, I really don't know, and I think it was honestly. I really don't. I always say this line, but I don't know if I was running towards something or running away from something because I was coming to the realization that I was gay. Which was very new and it was almost like against everything that I was brought up against. And it was like when I talked about the story moving to Florida, I was trying to find myself, trying to find my identity. I knew I was meant for a greater purpose. And I've always had I always pushed myself and I always knew that I wanted to leave my mark in this world and whatever that may be. So I didn't know what the outcome was going to be. I just knew that I was being called out west and I had to take my shot. That was the biggest thing that kept running through my mind. And so I didn't know where I was going to end up. I just knew that music moved me into ways that nothing else had, and especially got me through a lot of the low points in my life. And that's where I wanted to be. So there wasn't really a specific mentor, especially within the music space, because I wasn't even allowed to listen to music, really, a lot of music growing up, because I came from a very religious household. So I think that's probably what made me even want to go into music more. But I can't say one particular person that I wanted to emulate.
Okay.
I think that's really interesting that when you talk about what you're doing now to give back.
Yeah.
So my dad used to always say, he would get frustrated when someone would put somebody up on a pedestal who had maybe alcohol or drugs or something, basically fell down and got themselves back up. And he said, I applaud that, but why does everyone applaud so loudly for that versus the person who's never gone off the beaten path, has always led and made the right decisions and all that stuff? And I used to tell him, I'm like, I think it's because most of us can identify with, in our own lives, we have those things where we feel like failures, where we feel like we're not as successful as whatever it is, we're not measuring up to our own standards. And I feel like you can relate to that. And if somebody else admits it, you're like, oh, cool. I'm not alone. Nobody wants to be alone. So the fact that maybe we can just segue into Showcase, because I'd like to understand more about that app that you've got going and how that kind of helps people go from the struggles.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's a lot of people that feel like they're in their van right now in the 4th week and wondering, should I go another week or should I just call it quits and go work at a bank?
Yeah.
Not there's anything wrong with working at a bank. Just throwing a random career out.
There's so much to what you just said I could touch on. And for number one, like going on what we said initially, and I've got a very loud inner critic that's just always yelling at me and pushing me, and it's hard to silence him a lot of times. And it really plays on your self-esteem and self-conscious and all of that. But so I've always considered myself a black sheep, an outsider, and being in the music industry, I have a love-hate relationship with it. And am I allowed to curse on this show?
Yeah.
Sure.
I just saw a lot that it just really rubbed me the wrong way. Like just a lot of egos and things that just clashed with my beliefs. So again, I love the music industry. There's a lot of amazing things about it, but like the way artists, a lot of the smaller artists have been treated, and I also managed a lot of artists throughout my career, so I saw the pain points that they struggle with. And I kind of want to build a platform for the underdogs. And this showcases my 4th music streaming platform I've been a part of developing. And I saw where streaming was going, what it was doing to music, and just really commoditizing it in a lot of ways. Like on these major platforms now, there's 100 million songs, 140,000 are uploaded every day now. And AI is going to continue to clog those pipes and make it even more. So it's really hard to break through all of that noise if you're a smaller and upcoming artist. And in my opinion, a lot of these services like Spotify and Apple Music, and I'm not taking anything away from them at all, but they're pretty much marketplaces at this point. They have audio, there's video, there's audiobooks, there's podcasts, everything's there. But I saw a tremendous need to build a really true curated platform that's truly authentic and truly transparent and built for the independent artists and the underdogs and the black sheep, and giving them a place of visibility and putting as many of these artists on center stage as possible and giving them a jump start, if you will. And then, so currently the MVP of Showcase right now, it's a daily showcase of an emerging artist from all over the world. We showcase artists from all different walks of life, different genres. I think to date, we've showcased about 700 plus artists from 6 continents, over 60 countries, all 50 states. And we work with every single artist that we showcase, all the way down to the day they want to be showcased. We try to time it around, like today's artist that we have, her debut album dropped today. So we're supporting the release of that. And she's an incredible artist. And so we try to time it around that. And then outside of the app itself, we co-host 3 live showcases every week in Los Angeles. So every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, we've got 5 artists perform every night to an awesome crowd. And that was started by a good friend and colleague of mine probably about 15 years ago. And now we bolted onto that. And we've had everybody from Billie Eilish perform there to several people that have gone on to win Grammys. And we've become looked at as like a launch pad for a lot of artists now. So now we've got the app and we've got the live component, and our goal is to replicate all of that. So it's been a journey. It's been a long road. And again, like I feel like I said, I'd take my shot when I was going to LA, but this was really, I've had this concept for a long time, and I knew I just had to I was tired of building other people's dreams. I'm like, I have to take my shot. I don't know where this is still going to go yet, but I've learned so much about myself. I've learned so much about business. I learned so much about the tenacity and the grit you have to really be an entrepreneur. And I've been one before with my own DJ company and all of that, but this was like next level. And like I've got several investors behind me now, and it's just a whole nother level. But I wouldn't trade it for the world. Like I love it. I love the support we get from the artists, and we're partnering with a lot of nonprofits. We're supporting a lot of artists that lost their homes in the LA fires. We're starting to like dip into more cultural relevance. Like we celebrated for Mother's Day. We partnered with an organization called Mamas in Music, and we showcased 5 artists who are also moms to celebrate Mother's Day. And then in June, we have 4 organizations that we partnered with. So we're celebrating Pride Month, Black Music Month, and Father's Day. So it's cool, and we're supporting them. Like a lot of them are nonprofits, so we help raise money for them, but also showcase like the roster of artists that they're working with. So it's really cool to see what's transpiring, but it's also still very early days and somewhat of a volatile industry. So we'll see where it goes.
Major life and business changes can really shake things up, for worse, and sometimes, I believe, for the better. As a certified neurocoach, I know that when we are in an area of transformation in our lives that we did not choose, or maybe we did, we are bumped up against our comfort zone. And when that happens, our subconscious mind gets louder and tries to pull us back to where we feel safe. But I know as a certified neuro coach that this is the perfect time to take this transformation and turn it into something that you desire, something that you want. This is the perfect time to rewire those old limiting beliefs that have gotten in your way, and let's break free from that in this time of transformation and make it work for you. Let's turn this into a magical moment. I would love to hear from you. You can book a call on my website at mariaconaglero.com. Let's make this transformation last.
I'm so uneducated about the music industry, but I feel weird because I've consumed so much of it.
Right?
Very much like yourself.
Yeah.
Like I've always said, like, I wish I could walk around with my own soundtrack because I watch people in movies and I want to be like them. It's, they got a freaking soundtrack. And so now I've got AirPods.
Yeah,
so I can do that now,
Perfect.
right? It's just cool. So if people ask me why I'm so much happier in the last 10 years, I think it's that.
Yeah.
I got a soundtrack with it. But so going back to your, I want to do an FU to the music industry to an extent, right?
Yeah.
So what is it about that side of the fence that makes you cringe? If I could ask.
Trying to think the best way to put it. I saw a lot of people fail their way up, or there's a lot of nepotism that takes place. It's who you know. And I was just one of those people that always try to rely on my reputation, hard work, and in hindsight, I didn't take advantage of a lot of relationships either. But I'm trying to think of the best. And then there's also just tit for tat with getting, whether it's playlisting opportunities or any kind of opportunities for some of the bigger artists. There's just a lot of, I want to say payola, but if you remember payola back in the day where it was like pay for radio play, where labels would pay to get radio airtime for some of their artists' music.
Are you saying the Rick D's top 40 wasn't legit?
No comment. No comment.
So the reason I asked that, Dave, is I feel like, I was picturing in my mind, I'm a visual guy, and I'm picturing, you said launching pad.
Yeah.
And that's exactly where I was going. And I'm thinking to myself, if it is showcase the launching pad, are you standing outside going, hey, it sucks on that side of the fence. I know you want to get there, so here's a launching pad. I'll give you a boost over the fence, and then they're stuck on that. They're in the midst of that fire. Maybe you should provide a different platform so they can actually get noticed and exist on your platform.
It's interesting. I guess a big part of building Showcase too is there's a word in the music industry called A&R, and that's like the art of finding talent. So back in the day, the A&R scouts would basically be the ones that maybe go and driving through the Midwest and going to the local bars and trying to find that next Lady Gaga or Taylor Swift, and that's was true A&R. And I feel like nobody's really doing that right now. It's very reactionary to social media, and there's really not a lot of authenticity. It's based on likes and follows, and I just feel like it's not authentic. And also, I don't really feel like anybody's really owning music discovery, on discovering that next art, that next diamond in the rough. And I want to own that lane as much as I can. So I spend a lot of time on the Showcase brand to really truly own the lane of music discovery. I'm not trying to compete with all the bigger players. I want to be that complimentary service to them. Within our app itself, for the Showcase artists of the day, we deep link you out to all the other platforms, to Tidal, to Spotify, to Apple Music, and then all the social channels. So we want to be that tip of the funnel and then support them along the way. And also on the flip side, it's actually trifecta. Management companies and labels are now looking at us as an A&R tool for artists that they might want to sign. Nice. And it's working. Some artists have gone on to get publishing deals, sync deals, and all of that. And we never attribute it to just us, but we're part of the process. Right. And then the third of the trifecta is the fans, people like yourself, where, again, I've always been blessed that it wasn't easy getting into the music industry, but it's been my career. There's thousands of other people that have such a passion for music, probably greater than me, but for whatever reason couldn't take their shot, whether it was family life, financial reasons, whatever it may be. I want to be able to give them some impact into music. I look back at the American Idol days at its heyday, and I worked a lot of the American Idol stuff as well. Millions of people would call up a 1-800 number every night just to vote for somebody that they wanted to support. My goal is to bring some of that out, those elements, through our app as well. Like, we have part of the app in our website where anybody can submit artists to us. And we've never marketed it. It's just there, buried. But we have probably 500 plus user submissions that have already come through, of amazing artists that might have 10 or 12 monthly streams on Spotify, but they're amazing. And we started showcasing a lot of these artists and they're just so grateful for somebody to give them their time and attention. And it just means so much. We just showcased a kid 2 weeks ago. He's 14, and this kid is a prodigy. And I just want to work with him, like his story. I've been talking with his mom, And it's finding those types of stories and those types of people that are just so talented. And again, I'm never going to take the full credit, but I just love finding. I've always been an audiophile. As a DJ, I would be sifting through vinyl crates every single day at different stores trying to find diamonds in the rough. And now I'm doing it now. Like, I write every single artist bio that's on our platform by hand. I go down rabbit holes on their story, and I have a lot of rules around what I want to include and what I would exclude. And I can't tell you how many times I've cried from just hearing their stories of coming from being super poor, or coming from overcoming a disease. And those are the types of stories that I want to tell. And those are the types of stories that really, that's the connective tissue between the artist and the fans, as I'm concerned.
Absolutely.
So, and it's working. It's been a grind, but I feel like we're finally getting our legs under us, and we'll see what the next chapter holds.
I'm not going to admit that I cry occasionally, but
I'm a sap.
My daughter laughs at me because I cry at teen movies. I like to see successes. But I think about, like, when you just said American Idol, like the part that my stupid Instagram and Facebook feed gets filled up with this stuff, but the best part is when, not like later in the competition when you've already heard them and you know they're taken to the next level. The best part is the initial discovery. When you hear a little bit of backstory and you're like, oh, that doesn't really sound like you'd have any music training. And then they get out there and they go, bam. And whether it's their instrument or their voice or both. And you're just like, that is so, like, skin goosebump, teary eyed. Yes. That is a really cool part. And so that's what you're latching onto.
Exactly. Yeah, and it makes you want to support them. Their stories are amazing. And a lot of these artists don't really know where to turn. There's such a black curtain up between the industry and the rest of the world. And I just want to be able to break that down and give our users more impact into the industry and help drive the next star. But then also just give a lot of these artists time and attention and that human touch to everything. And it's amazing how much they appreciate that.
Wow.
And I've got a small team, and we've got amazing relationships. A lot of us have worked in the industry for over 20 years. So we've fostered a lot of relationships with management companies now, with more labels, and every single day we're talking with more and more people. So and I feel like we're meeting the moment within the music industry right now where there's a tremendous need for a curated platform like ours, because so many have gone under. A lot of the blogs are gone. Pitchfork is gone. If you remember, Pitchfork was one of the biggest music sites out there. Still is, but I think it got acquired, and I'm not sure what the next step with that is. But there's an open lane for us right now, and it's been a grind. I'm not AI is the hottest thing right now, and I'm a fully human created platform, and we know we'll mix AI in at some point, but it's not hot to investors, it's not hot to venture capitalists, and so on and so forth. So I'm trying to really just, I know this industry enough to know that I'm not going to say I'm going to disrupt it, because once you say you're going to disrupt the music industry, you'll be dead in the water. It will eat you alive. I'm looking at this as a marathon, not a sprint. And so I'm trying to slow roll this, and I'm trying to ride the pain points with the industry and be there as a solution to them. And it's working.
Wow.
Everybody's coming to us now and folding us into their release strategies for new artists, and we're in talks replicating our live shows in Nashville and a couple other regions now. So slowly expanding, but I don't sleep. But yeah.
How's that coffee going for you?
I know, seriously.
There's a bunch I want to talk about real quick. I had a guy doing my landscaping, great guy, Mark, and I was telling him about an artist that I liked. I was listening to him on Spotify, and he's like, hey, man, you should listen to this guy. And I wish I could remember his name for this podcast. Maybe we could put it in the notes or something. But he sings a song about Shikshini. He's got a gravelly, raspy voice, and it's just him on an acoustic guitar. And I looked him up on Spotify and just really enjoyed him. And I'm thinking, no one's ever going to find this person. How does this person get noticed? He's equally as talented as the guy I was telling about in the first place. And so a place that's a perfect launching pad.
So that's what we want. And that's where a lot of our user submissions come through, is just these. One thing is, it's like, we're not trying to be egotistical to all of it. I'm never going to promise you're going to like everything we showcase, but there's no barriers to entry. It's very easy. It's built for, we're a little older demographic at this table, so it's built for people like us in a lot of ways. And we're all in our late 20s, but it's built for with the ease. It's almost like, I always say we're trying to become like a sommelier of music in a lot of ways, where it's easy. Every day you get a notification on your phone, your showcase is ready, so it's easy. It's delivered right to your fingertips. But yeah, we want our users to be able to submit these artists. It's almost like we used to make mixtapes back in the day and share them with your friends. And
mixtapes.
Yeah. And part of that throwback nostalgia, I just want to be like, hey, check out this artist. We think you might like it. You might. And I've got countless emails from our users just telling stories on what Showcase has meant to them, or from a user perspective, from an artist perspective. So it's really cool to see. And we're just getting started too. I've got a very big vision and roadmap for where I want to take it. But like those types of things is what keeps me going. I'm just supporting these underdogs and letting our fans be part of this process. And it's been a fun journey.
In the interest of beyond the bottom line,
Yeah.
I'm hearing all this stuff. So I've got the passion down here.
Yeah.
Like I get what's driving you, what made you sleep in a van. Down, I don't know if it was down by a river, but down by a theater.
Yes.
I don't hear business degrees, law degrees, finance major, anything like that in your repertoire. But I did hear you say with Showcase, I think you said you have partners, investors.
Yes, got investors.
So you're doing all this stuff that you learned how to do just through trial by fire. And now you're turning this into a business. You're not working for somebody. You're putting this thing together with some others, right? Like, where do you start doing that? How do you start? You're out of your comfort zone, I would imagine. So how do you start putting that together?
So really quick on the education piece too. So I ended up, during my time in LA, I got my MBA, and then I got my project management professional certification as well during COVID, which was probably the hardest thing of any of my degrees that I've ever received.
Did you say the MBA thing?
No,
okay.
I didn't.
Because my wife would be like, see, you don't listen.
No,
You didn't say it?
All right, man.
Sure. And that was a 6-year journey of dropping out 3 times because of my time. I was working, but I made it happen. I'm just one of those people. I have a million ideas, and I always get paralyzed because I look at going from A to Z and not all the incremental steps along the way. And so I just get paralyzed. And for this one, I just kept coming back to it. I probably had this idea back in like 2015. That's when I reserved the domain name back then.
Wow.
I just sat because I was going through other things. I was getting my MBA. My father was sick. Those other things. I was trying to have a family with my husband. And so things got in the way. And I just knew that at some point it will come back. I'll come back to it. And this time around, I took things slowly. I sketched out my vision for what the app would look like. And I actually have that sketch up on my office, just a pencil sketch to remind me how far we've come. Yeah. And I just started putting one step in front of the other. And I started that when we were in Los Angeles. And then ended up having to walk away from it for a little bit because of personal reasons. And so when I moved back here, again, I didn't really talk about it. I was very self-conscious. I was afraid people were going to shit on it or whatever. And I just started talking about it to a couple close friends. And that led to more and more people. It led to, hey, you should talk to this person. And you should talk to this person. And then I got convinced to apply to the TechBridge business plan competition that's held at the Kirby Center every year. And so I already had my business plan underway. And so I kept going on it, and I submitted the business plan. And the next thing I knew, I won. So we won the business plan competition, and that got me some money and some in-kind services to really help catapult the company. So I used that for corporate formation and just other things. And then I went out and I got first approached by a venture capital firm to invest in us very early. This is like when I just had an idea and a business plan. And talked with them for almost 6 months, and they presented me with an offer, and I actually turned it down. I said no, which was a big move at that time. It didn't feel right to me. And I'm glad I did, but that led to another door who was my first investor. And so he funded my entire friends and family round, very strategic investment, and that got my MVP built. And from there, it just catapulted. And so I've raised almost $1 million to date. So far, I've got several institutions, venture capital firms on my cap table, angel investors. I've raised several $100,000 in grants. I got to give a shout out to Scranton because they've been super supportive of us. And Ben Franklin Technology Partners is another big supporter of mine as well. And so it's been awesome to see so many people, especially in this area, come around and support me. Like I always say, people always ask, like, why Scranton? And there's many reasons. The people, the love, support. I see so much progress that's happening in this area, in all of NEPA. And I could stretch a dollar a lot further with building a company here than I could anywhere else. And so, yeah, it was just like putting one foot in front of the other. And I had one co-founder. Unfortunately, we parted ways at the end of last year, but we were together for 4 years, and we slowly built my team. And I had a good sized team, probably like 15 to 20 at the end of last year between employees and contractors. I ended up having to scale way back just because of the economy, recession potentially, and the election made it really hard to fundraise. Every founder that I knew was struggling to raise capital last year, and I was one of them as well. But I also burnt myself out. Yeah. I spiraled last year. I went to a really dark headspace. I almost shut the company down. I was just so burnt out trying to manage being the breadwinner of a family with 2 young kids and building a startup, and never really stopping to give myself a pause. And it took a major toll on me at the end of last year. But it was all for the best. I used December and January, which are slow, at least in the entertainment space, to reset myself a lot and do a lot of reflection and talking with my husband. And I slowed things way down. I think I was being pushed outside of my comfort zone. I'm not a move fast and break things person. That's one thing I know about. I'm very slow and methodical. I was getting pushed to go a lot faster and to raise money that was making me uncomfortable. And I was also disconnected from the music. I had other people doing it, and I was just all corporate, all the finances, and it pulled me away from music. And so now I'm back to a very small team. I'm going at my pace. I'm doing all the music again, all the writing, and I couldn't be happier doing it this way. And I've got a small team, but we've had more opportunity and that have come our way. I was just at South by Southwest, a big conference down in Texas, in Austin, in March, where I was picked out of over 700 companies to be one of their pitch finalists this year. So I was on the main stage, got to share my story about Showcase. And so more and more accolades are coming out, and we're really starting to find our footing. And I love my team, and I'm glad that we're leaner, because I feel like I don't have that pressure now. I feel like I lost myself. Yeah. You guys know, being an entrepreneur is not easy.
Yeah, you really
You got to have the grit. You really have to be mentally prepared for it, because the sleepless nights, the tears, the roller coaster of the ups and downs, and all of the uncertainty around it, it's definitely not for everybody.
Yeah. As your wealth builds, so does the amount of pressure that surrounds you, right? Maybe your income is still higher than ever and your business has more revenue than ever, but you're also thinking about your family, your employees and their families, debts that you need to pay off, taxes that you want to minimize, cash flows to track, all while trying to stay excellent at your job and innovative within your industry. Our team at Stonehouse helps you manage your personal wealth, whether it's in your retirement plan, your business, or any other place. While you're busy out there conquering the world and trying to take care of others, don't forget about taking care of yourself. Contact Stonehouse to see how we can help make your life better.
Congratulations. I'm really proud of you for even recognizing that you were in that space and that you couldn't go anymore, and then making intentional changes. And I'm sure those changes were scary, because you're letting go of everything that got you to where you are. And then what? Yeah.
And I have to give a shout out to Maria, because Maria was my coach for a long time through all of this. And you really having me do affirmation work, which was tremendously valuable. I still do it to this day.
Great.
Because I've always struggled with self-confidence and self-esteem. And I do think you have to have a lot of that if you're going to run a company. And so I've grown a lot. And I always tell myself, no matter what happens at this point, I can't look at this as a failure. Say this was because I've grown so much. And I feel like we've already impacted so many people. I don't want to look at it that way. And I just feel like I've learned so much about business and building a company, and way more than I did when I actually got my MBA. But the biggest part was the mental part that to this day, it's really hard to overcome sometimes.
You said it earlier, the inner critic, that it could be very loud.
Very loud.
And I think we all have that.
Yeah,
we all have that. And are you going to give your inner critic the microphone or not?
Yeah.
And then how do you dialogue with that? To some degree.
Me how to acknowledge the inner critic and then silence them.
Yes, because if you don't mind me saying, you just wanted to ignore it. And I'm like, we got to hear what this guy has to say, because he's not going to stop until he feels heard and seen. And we all have that part.
Yes.
Bob's like, you're crazy.
No, I knew you were crazy. No, I'm relating it to myself. I've not gone through the coaching, but boy, I'm sure there's been many times where I think I probably should talk to somebody.
You have a lot of people.
Yeah, my wife has
been.
She's been that person for me. I think we all need sounding boards.
Oh,
right?
totally. In a lot of different areas, I think, too.
When you're talking about this, I think you're in a totally different industry than most, right? But I think everybody goes through that, where you're either you be the business or you work on the business. And how many people have a talent, and I just use contracting because my family, we grew up building houses. My brother still does that, but you got a very talented person who's good at woodworking and contracting, and all of a sudden the business starts growing, and then they spend more time doing estimates and paperwork, and you take their talent away from the business, and you find somebody, maybe they're as talented, but it's hard to find out. That's why the business was growing, because there was so much talent. And all of a sudden you take yourself away from the music, you become just a business person, and you lose part of yourself. That was like 100%. Part of your identity, right?
100%.
Yeah. And so it's really, at what point, I think you have to make a decision. Do I want this to grow? And if that's the case, do I stay on this side and hire somebody for this stuff, or do I go there and hire somebody for that stuff?
I think it's a both and.
Yeah.
if I had
Probably.
to say. Yeah.
Depends on the business.
And for
but yeah, you're right.
also for me, I don't know if this was good or bad, but I didn't separate you also allude to this, but I didn't separate myself from the business. It was just an
That's what I was
extension
gonna
of
say.
me. And so every little thing that happened just affected my entire life.
Was a reflection of
It was a complete reflection.
Yeah.
And it was almost like every little thing that happened just was like hitting me twice as hard. And I still struggle with that because I'm so passionate about it. And I'm also just I'm not driven by money. I know I'm talking to, this is your world, but money doesn't.
I'm not driven by money, Dave.
I'm not saying you're driven by money, but this is more of a passion than anything else. It's not, I don't know where this is going to go yet, but I just felt again, like my goal would be to have this be my swan song to my career in music for so long, and to hopefully be like an end chapter. And being a dad now too, setting an example for my girls, because I really want to raise my daughters to carve their own path. I think we're seeing these younger generations not want to go the corporate route and get a gold watch after retiring. And I really want to instill with my girls that they can really truly be anything that they want and be by example. And that's probably one of my biggest motivators.
Wow. Yeah. When you were talking about,
cry. It's not working.
I get there.
Okay.
Yeah, I
Right,
think
when
whether
you call me like, is money hungry? No, I'm just kidding.
No. Whether you work on your business or in your business, you are not your business. So I feel like when you have a business, it becomes a thing of its own, and a combination of yourself, the investors, the team, the audience, the customers, and it grows a life of its own, doesn't it, Bob?
I'm not getting interviewed here, Maria.
But you got something impressive.
Yeah,
I
you
would
have.
say, I don't know if I push back on it. I'd say there's internally, we have, one of my partners has made the comment in the past, everybody said, it's not personal. It's not business. It's not personal. It's just business. I completely can't wrap my head around that.
Yeah.
I've always been in a small kind of community. And even as we grow, I still consider it a tight community. I just know when you go to the grocery store, you pump gas, you're going to see somebody that as a client or that you're friends with or that you've done work with. And I don't want to duck down the food aisle to avoid them or get in my truck and fill up half a tank and leave. I want to be able to say, hey, how's it going? So for me, it's always personal. And so I think I agree with you that as you grow the business, you have to eat some humble pie and realize there's no way that one human being can grow to this. Physically impossible. I think you have to be super selective with who you bring right alongside you. You've got to have all the key things aligned. And you have to also start to really understand that I'm going to hand off this piece to this person because I trust them. I'm going to watch them and they're going to do it. You have to understand they're going to do it differently. But as long as you completely communicate what the end goal is, and they're the right person, then they should be able to hit that goal, no problem.
Yeah.
And then you become a family instead of just.
So there's the business that has needs, and then there's the individuals who have needs.
Yes.
And the individuals contribute to the needs of the business,
Yep.
along with money, resources, customers, all the things that a business needs. But that business is separate from the humans.
So I would look at it like this. A lot of people in some of our interviews, we've talked about your business is almost like your child, right?
My
Yeah.
baby. I always say
Yeah.
it's my baby.
Yeah. In a different way. But much like my son just graduated college, my daughter's a year behind him. As they become big boys and big girls, I realize that I'm not going to be that big part of their life. It's shrinking, right? But I don't want separation. So
No.
I don't know if I'm talking. Now I feel like I'm. You
No.
guys are.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm in
No,
my
I'm not saying
therapist chair.
separation. It's more of an evolution.
That's right. That I
Yes.
agree with 100%.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it grows in its own way. It has its own kind of energy that is associated and connected.
It's very similar. My wife's like,
Yeah.
why do you always find all these analogies in life? I'm like, life just repeats the cycles in a different way. And so for me, a business is, you're a parent to that thing, and all of a sudden it grows. And now to make your business really valuable, its highest value, you have to make yourself replaceable. And so when a parent dies, they don't want to be thinking on the deathbed, my family's absolutely screwed if I'm gone. You want to say, a success is my family can live without me. You do the same with your business.
Yeah.
But it just seems, it's hard to do that.
And that's what investors want to see
Yeah.
too.
That's exactly what investors,
Yeah.
and it's the way capitalism should work, and I believe it's the right cycle, but it's hard to mentally shift as your business grows, to mentally shift with it. It's hard.
I couldn't agree more. God, there's so much I want to touch on, but everything you just said, but it's getting more voices in the room, more opinions, which could be good or bad. It could be amazing ideas that you never thought about. Because I know, like, for Showcase, for example, I hold it so close to my chest that sometimes I can't see beyond and see around corners. And so having other people in the room that can actually bring amazing ideas to the table. But I also set a very high bar with work ethic. I think I'm a perfectionist in a lot of ways, to my fault.
Yeah.
And I've learned to take, what do they call it? Geffen, good enough for now mentality. Like, it's got to be good enough for now. And like, you've got to have people around you that you trust, and they are going to do things differently. And that's okay sometimes, but you also have to recognize if it's not okay, and pull that cord quickly and recognize that. And that's sometimes I've let it linger too far. And one thing I will say, because I have people all over the place that have or are working for Showcase, is there's something about this area, man. I've never seen, again, the blue collar work ethic of people that come out of this area. People just work really hard, harder than I've ever seen in any other place that I've ever lived.
Well, that's good to know.
Yeah, that's cool.
Which is awesome.
Yeah.
But so, yeah.
So much for that Dunder Mifflin show.
Yeah.
What is it about you that no one
Really?
surprise you? People would surprise people about you that they don't know.
Oh my God.
I asked this one time, and the guy goes, my guest said, I get sick on amusement rides. I was like, that's wicked random.
God. Oh man. I'm okay. On a funny side, I guess I just wish, or I'm super grateful that I was raised when I was raised as a Gen Xer, and there was no cell phones, because I did a lot of crazy stuff that I'm glad was never recorded. But I'm trying to think of something really outside the box, but really, like, more on a serious side, like, I've had again, I think part of it goes back to struggling with my self-identity and all that. Like, I've had a lot of health issues, like, throughout this entire process of my career. I've had 20 plus surgeries, in and out of the hospital, like, almost died multiple times on the operating table, in intensive care for weeks or months on end. And that even changed my life, like, in so many different ways, on just, like, not stopping or not throwing in the towel, and keeping my eye on the North Star of just always wanting to grow, always wanting to learn, always wanting to give back. And there's moments, like, again, like in the hospital room by myself, where I'm just reflecting with my thoughts and struggling, not being able to eat for weeks because of the surgeries and stuff. That put me into places that I'm, like, in my head that I've never been before, and it gets you to really think on what matters in life, and what are the important parts, what's important to you. And I feel like all of that was for a reason. Like, as hard as it was, and all of the stuff that I've been through, I just feel like that's what crafts you. That's what molds you over time. That makes you into the person that you are today. And as hard as it was, like, I know it was meant for a reason. I feel like that's why I'm actually here today, telling my story.
You said earlier about recognizing you were being pushed. I think it was last year, right? Being pushed too fast, faster than your comfortable speed. And don't you wish you knew all that stuff 20 years ago 100%. And you could have throttled it down and throttled up in the right spots?
100%. And I'm actually learning that now. I'm learning to have more patience, and kind of letting the universe help guide me as well, instead of trying to force everything. I'm very impatient. I just want things done, and I'm a control freak. And so I just want things done. And I'm really learning to just let go and enjoy the ride a little bit more. And I think that's what I was getting at before with slimming down my team and all of that, is I'm going at my pace now. I can set my deliverables. I can set my day, and I'm in a much more quieter headspace now. And more and more doors have opened than the last 4 years. I think because I'm like adopting that mentality now. It's really been working. I feel like my mental state is stronger than it's probably ever been in a very long time. So,
and that's your industry is just, that's probably the industry for just chewing up people and grinding them in 5 years and then burning them out.
Yeah. They say, I mean, if you look at just LA in general, they say there's like a 3-year mark that if you can survive in Los Angeles for 3 years, you made it, per se, because a lot of people move out to LA with a hope and a dream, and for one reason or another, they're heading back home first year or two. And yeah, the music industry is definitely not for everybody. I think probably the class that I graduated with from my school in Florida, I'm probably maybe one of 5 maybe that have actually pursued a career in music.
Wow.
Most people, because the music industry was definitely at a downturn for a long time. Jobs were getting eliminated, and they still are. It's going through an evolution at the moment, but it's hard. It's a very small, incestuous industry. I've been blessed to have been in it for so long, and I know a lot of people now, but it's just not easy. And that's part of the reason I like to mentor. Like I have an internship program that I put my interns through. That's a very robust program. Most of them have gone on to get amazing jobs or work for me, or I just love to see that side. I love to see the growth, and I love to be a part of that story if I can, because it's not easy.
Here's what I really like about what I hear right now, because I feel like we're in totally different industries, but I feel like we were talking about how we like so many different things right before we started recording, but the very common thread that we have is I feel like, I don't want, in case there are young children, I don't want to ruin this, but you know how as you grow older, you find out that the world doesn't quite work the way you were told when you were a kid. And I feel like there's two types of people when it comes to the corporate world. They either realize that, oh, okay, I can put my corporate hat on and just be a little bit more ruthless than I would normally to my circle of friends, right? And I can do this, and it's all under the guise of just doing business. And then there's people that are like, you know what? I care about the value of my business. I care about my bottom line, but I will sacrifice the idea of growing to this level, and I'll be happy to grow to a lower level, but still much higher than I am today by doing it the right way.
100%.
And I feel like that's what you're going with here.
100%. I try to pride myself on, I don't want to sacrifice my integrity for growth.
Yep.
And I feel like I've always led that mentality. When I look back on my career, I left a few jobs because I just didn't agree from a moral or ethical perspective. It just didn't align with my values. And I've always stuck to that. And again, going back to being a small team, like I get to define that a little bit more now. And I'm trying to think what I was going to say about that. But yeah, I'm okay with that. And I'm very transparent to my investors. Even like when I used to pitch to my company, if it was like maybe 5 or 10 years ago, they would say, what's your pathway to 100 million users and how fast can you get there? And this and that. And it's never been my angle. Give me a small subset of that. I don't, first of all, like, I can go down tangents on this, but I don't see any platform going to that level again. Like, I think more people are more looking for more niche communities that they could align with right now. Yeah. And give me a subset of that 100 million users. Like for Showcase, like my target number is 5 million users that I think is manageable. And give me that. We have a very high active user base right now, higher than the average. I might not have a lot of downloads yet. We're growing every day, but like our active user base is way higher than the average because we're building a sticky platform. We're engaging, and that's what I want. I want to build that community, and I really don't want to sacrifice the art. I don't want to sacrifice our processes, anything like that, on our communication style or work ethic. And if it means we're taking we're losing 20% revenue because of that, I'm okay with that, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Is it like all talent scouts that, if I was someone looking for talent, I would be absolutely on your app. Right?
I hope so.
Yeah.
That would be the plan. Like I said, we do have more and more talent scouts getting out, and management companies like really starting to scout us for talent that we're showcasing, which is awesome. Yeah. And so we have some, I can't say X is not fully confirmed, but some really big opportunities possibly coming down the way for 26. Some conversations that were being had now, and if they really come to light, it could really position us very well. So it's exciting.
Ooh, so many goosebumps today.
So I asked this question of another guest, and I don't know if I'll ask it the same way, but I think about this a lot as my kids are graduating college. 20 years out from now, Dave, like how do you want your twins to look at you?
Oh, man.
26.
Yeah, it's interesting. So
feel free to cry if you want.
Number one, like I am in lockstep. First of all, I want to give a shout out to my husband because my husband is a stay-at-home dad. So he runs the roost, and he allows me, we've been married almost 10 years now, and allows me to go and travel and build a business and all of that. And so he's the grounded one and takes care of all of that. And then my girls, my girls were born on my birthday too, so we all share a birthday, which was the biggest gift ever. So we've got a running joke between the three of us that we're all 6. And so I act like a total 6-year-old. Like we're 3 goofballs together. My husband looks at us like, you guys are nuts. And so we're 3 peas in a pod, and I talk to them about everything. Like they're very social, very worldly, and again, like I don't know where all this is going to go. I'm trying to set up our life and their future grown-up life that they're not so beholden to having to do things for financial strain or financial reasons, if that makes sense. Like for me, like I had to take a lot of jobs, and there's a lot of sacrifices made just to pay the bills and all of that. And I know there's a lot of people out there that couldn't pursue a passion or couldn't pursue a dream because of finances, because of decisions, whatever it may be.
That didn't stop you, though.
It didn't. It didn't, because I believed that it was going to happen, that it was going to work. I believed in myself enough to take that risk. But not everybody's like that. And I think my daughters, who are completely polar opposites too, like I said before, like I want to lead by example, that there are options out there. I love talking to them about what they want to be, and it obviously changes all the time, but it's fun to see that. And I want to expose them to as much as I can, even like watching like the education system change. What's it going to be like in 20 years? What's going to happen to colleges, universities, and 4-year degrees, and how are they going to be looked at? I pay attention to that. I've got 529 accounts set up for both my girls, and I'm like, is this going to mean anything when they're ready for college? So if whatever I can do to give them as much like real world education as possible, from an entrepreneurial standpoint, from business, and expose them to as much as I possibly can. That's my goal. And I'm starting now with, again, they're 6, and they're at that age where we're trying all kinds of stuff, sports and musical stuff, and seeing what they like. And hopefully that will, over time, narrow their scope of what they might want to do, what they might want to be. And they can do it. My husband and I try to really instill with them, like they can be anything that they want, and they have our backs no matter what. And that's what I want to really instill with them at the end of the day.
It's beautiful.
Yeah. God love you, man. I went through that stage. I thought my kids were going to play instruments and certain types of things. And then my son was like into the Rubik's Cube. And I was like, I don't get it. I just don't get it. I mean, he did a lot of sports and all that stuff, but neither of my kids were into instruments really at all.
Okay.
Yeah. And I love music, man. I was really surprised. They've got their mother's rhythm. Sorry. Edit that out.
Dave, do you play any instruments?
I used to. I grew up playing the piano, played in my church for a long time. And then I stopped because I was just a boy and just was more into sports. And then I loved singing. I sang all the way through high school, got a small scholarship through my high school for singing as well. And then I dabble, but I really switched to being a DJ, but I really engrossed in just like music theory and music history. It's my world. Like I've studied music in depth, like a vast music collection. And then I switched to the engineering side. So like I would sit there on the big boards and actually do the mixing and recording and all of that.
Neat.
So I still dabble with my acoustic guitar, and I have my late father's old banjo, but the house that we bought was from a music teacher in Tunkhannock. She taught school at Tunkhannock for 40 years. We bought the house from her, so we bought the piano. We negotiated the piano. So we have a beautiful piano, and so my girls want to learn. So my goal is to learn piano with them, or relearn piano with them as they're learning it. So that's my next goal.
Cool.
So it'll be fun. It'll be a good bonding moment.
Yeah.
Yes.
Did you hang out with Dr. Dre a lot?
I did. Not a lot, but first of all, he's huge. He's 6'5" or whatever. He's a jack dude. Yeah. It was very surreal being in the room with him. Yeah. Absolutely. As somebody who grew up with The Chronic and one of my favorite albums of all time, and then being in the room with him. And with Beats Music in particular, I worked very closely with Trent Reznor from 9 Inch Nails. Yeah. I just had a long conversation with somebody else yesterday about him, and I just feel like Trent is a musical genius in everything he does. And just to see him one night on stage performing with his band, going balls to the wall and sweaty, and then the next day he's in a room as quiet as a mouse, just taking it in and being in a meeting with us. Wow. And seeing that dichotomy and seeing the trajectory of where he's gone. And my favorite movies of all time is The Social Network, which he composed the music for, and I think it's probably one of the best soundtracks I've ever.
Trent Reznor did the soundtrack.
Trent Reznor did that, yeah.
Really?
Yeah, he did. Him and Atticus Ross now they've done several movies now. They actually just won, I think, an Oscar last year, maybe. I forget the name of the movie that they did, but yeah, he's done several movies now. And a lot of people look at The Social Network as like one of the most iconic music scores of all time now. Nice. It really met the moment.
That's interesting. Yeah. It's just those two names when you talk about like what such a diversity between those two guys, 100%. Like their styles and everything. 100%. That's pretty cool. Yep. You have seen a lot.
Got a lot of stories. I got a lot of stories that can get me in trouble.
Yeah, we could probably do a different podcast on that one.
Yeah. Yeah.
Below the
anonymous. Yeah.
There we
Behind
go.
the bottom line.
I like that B-side.
The B-side. Yeah, that is a vinyl reference too. No one even knows. Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm so old when I talk about some of the stuff that we used to listen
vinyl's
to.
making a resurgence.
They're like mixtapes.
Oh, yeah.
I know. I moved my daughter out of her college apartment. She has vinyl records. I'm like, I just collect them. I'm like, she doesn't have anywhere to play them. But
oh, really?
Yeah.
Come on, Dad. Get her a vinyl player.
Stop. She has enough stuff. What's next for the next 12 months of Dave? I feel like Dave Yeager, the most interesting man in the room.
Right?
Far from it.
Renaissance man.
It's a great question. There's, again, like I feel like we're hitting our stride with the company right now, and we are very lean. Like I'm the way I describe it is I'm treading water at the moment, just trying to keep everything alive and trying to keep the app running, trying to keep it curated. June is a huge month for us with 4 partnerships, and I'm on the road a lot. I was just in Nashville a week ago or 2 weeks ago, going to LA, going to New York the week after that. And I don't know, opportunities, it's weird. I feel like we're meeting the moment, like I said before, but more and more opportunities are coming, and I'm just enjoying the ride. I don't know where this is all going to end, to be perfectly honest. Like I stopped fundraising for right now. I just didn't feel like it was the right time. And I wanted to, like, we're not monetizing yet, we're completely pre-revenue. And I'm super focused on user growth. And so I'm putting all of my effort into that. And then I know I'll circle back to the fundraising piece. But right now I'm just like, I'm letting conversations happen, and it's fun to watch how many users downloaded the app every single week, and we're organically growing, and I'm enjoying that part of the process, and more doors are opening. So I don't know where we're going to be in a year. I've got goals, and who knows where it's going to take me, but I'm just enjoying it. And again, a lot of sleepless nights worrying about that because I haven't taken a salary in a very long time, but fingers crossed that this is all going to be worth it at the end of the day. And every single day I'm more and more confident that it will.
I was glad to see you on the calendar here. And to be very honest with you, like a month or so ago when Maria's, Dave's going to do it, I was like, there's no way he's going to like stick to the date. We moved it from afternoon to morning, but still the fact that you're here, I really appreciate
Thank
that.
you
I'm like,
so
this
much.
guy's like a jet setter now. He's a big dog.
No, I try to be as humble as I can. I pursued my dreams, and it's happening. And if I could inspire one other person to take their shot, and if it doesn't work out, it's not the end of the world. And again, I think with the state of everything happening in the world right now, I think more and more people are realizing how short life is and what's important to them. Again, it goes back to me and my health issues. And so that I learned, maybe that was a blessing that came the first time I was in the hospital when I was 18. For months, I had a lot of time to myself, and I really realized like life is short, and I want to not wake up every day like hating going to work and hating what I do. And
So just a quick follow-up before we wrap up. Do you think, I don't mean to make light of it, but do you think the health issues may have been caused by the free refills on the popcorn?
Quite possibly. Quite possibly.
I said like movie theater popcorn. I'm just saying.
Clogging those arteries.
No, serious question is going back to the van, because for me, it's just a good visual. Going back to your 4 weeks or so, like you're at the extent, right? Everybody's been in the van. Anybody who's been an entrepreneur and has been, for those that might be listening that haven't had those couple of breaks that got them to that next level, got them stable, but they believe in what their cause is, their passion. How do they decide whether I got to call it quits and go do alternative B or C, or how do I know, like, keep pushing, man? What's your advice on that? That's a super difficult question, so take your time.
No, but it's a great question. And
There's a lot of people there.
Yeah.
Even people that are 10 years in their business.
Oh, yeah.
All of a sudden hit a huge blockade or whatever, or obstacle, or they want to get to that next level and they just feel stuck. And they're like, man, this is not going to where I wanted to go. But so like, how did you do it?
I think everybody's different. Every experience is different. Knowing that if you have to put something down, for instance, and go get a job, just say, for example, you hit a financial rut, it's okay. It's okay to do that. You could always come back to something. I mentor a lot of entrepreneurs in the area now that are probably behind me getting their businesses going. I've seen that happen. I saw that happen where they have to go get a full-time job and they're self-funding their own side hustle or side project. And being in the music industry too, I always joke that everybody in the music industry has a side hustle. So I'm just used to it, just for many reasons. But I think it's what you do with it. And I think that's really, that moment is what weeds out a lot of people. A lot of people do throw in the towel and then go back to, I want to say complacency, but they go back to the easy route, whatever you want to call it, the safer route. But that's also okay. This is really hard. It's challenged me in ways that nothing else has challenged me. And as a dad and with young kids and all of that, I look at all my friends that are in the corporate world and I oftentimes envy them. I'm not going to lie, because they're taking vacations that are paid and they've got time off, and I'm working 7 days a week. We haven't taken a vacation in years, and there's a lot of sacrifices that you have to give up. And I think that's when you really see who's really in this and who's not, and like how committed you are to that. But again, it goes back to, for me, it's like the forcing aspect, because like even with Showcase, like I started Showcase, and then Maria knows part of my story, but like my mom, the reason what brought me here was my mom was terminally ill. I just lost my dad. My dad left my dad to brain cancer. My mom got the same exact brain tumor about a year later, and it blindsided my family. And so that's what brought us back here, was to take care of my mom.
Okay.
And so in the height of COVID, I was living under the same roof as my terminally ill mom with 2 1.5-year-old girls in the middle of COVID. It was the hardest thing I've ever gone through. And I had to put everything aside. I put Showcase aside for about 8-9 months. And I probably spent all of our savings because I had no income. And then Zoom came after me. So I had to keep Showcase on the back burner, but I still kept it. I brought it back to life very incrementally while I was working full time at Zoom. And I just knew that at some point that Showcase I would meet the moment with Showcase to go full time on it. And I did it 2 years later. So I kept going at it. I knew that there was a couple divergence in that process, and maybe things didn't go at the speed that I originally expected them to. Yeah. But I kept my sight on the North Star and made it happen, and stayed patient. I don't know if that answers your question or not.
No, it does. Sage advice from Tootsie Roll.
We should get them to sponsor this now.
Yeah, we should.
It's awesome advice. It's great. And most importantly, it's your advice. And you preface that whole answer by saying everybody walks at different paths, different circumstances, but there's a lot of serendipitous stuff going on in there.
100%.
Yeah. I love most of all that you pick your head up and make yourself aware. I think a lot of entrepreneurs keep their head down too long.
It's made me very self-aware.
Maybe having a good coach to help you do
very
that
much
is
so.
Probably a smart thing.
I heard you say meet the moment 3 or 4 times today. And I love that so much. I think that's like a huge takeaway, is that we can all just meet the moment with alignment, with integrity and grit, and everything you bring to the table. Your story is really amazing and really inspiring.
Thank you. And
it's only half written.
And I'm excited for this next chapter, no matter what it brings. And I'm blessed in so many ways. I've said that a lot of times on this podcast too, but it's really the truth. I'm really grateful for everything. I was raised with amazing parents and my family, and my immediate family now is my most important thing, and doing my best. Everybody's doing their best.
You're doing great.
I'm trying.
You are.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Can you drop a track and let us get out on this track?
What do you recommend? How about Tootsie Roll?
I don't remember that song.
Really?
I don't remember that song.
Oh my God. Marie's going to sing it
I'm
for
this
you.
close to singing it. You don't want to hear me sing though.
Why? Come on now. Step out of your comfort zone.
To the left,
right.
Oh, is that Tootsie Roll?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that was I didn't know
Can you see me Tootsie Roll?
Oh my gosh. I've accidentally horribly danced to that on numerous occasions.
The gala.
With a mullet.
Let's go. Tomorrow night at the gala.
No,
we're going to be Tootsie Rolling.
Oh, that's great.
In honor of Dave.
Dave, thanks so much, man.
Yeah,
for
thank
being
you.
Here. Really, it was fun for me.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Such a good story. Thank you so much for joining
us. Thank you for having
Dave.
me. I'm honored to be here.
So how does somebody, before we go, somebody download your app? Where do they go? Showcase?
Yeah, showcasedaily.com is our website. And as soon as you go to the website, you'll see the buttons to download on iOS and Android.
Okay.
And you can shoot me an email, dave@showcasedaily.com. I'm always on.
If I had any musical talent, that's how I would reach out to you and try to get noticed.
Yeah.
Get on your showcase.
Send it my way.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Awesome.
All right. Thank you, Dave.
Awesome. Thanks,
you both. Dave. That's a wrap on today's episode of Beyond the Bottom Line. Thank you for listening. If this conversation sparked something for you, please let us know. Follow, share, or leave a review. It helps us keep having the conversations we love that you love to listen to. We'll be back in 2 weeks with more real talk from real leaders. Until then, here's to feeling successful beyond the bottom line.